Hi, I'm Luann Aiken with Tagawa Gardens here in Centennial, Colorado, and I am with Mike, one of our Tagawa staff. He's also a certified arborist. He has all kinds of advice for people who go and look at their tree and say, where do I start with the pruning? Where do they start with the pruning, Mike?
Well, I think on a more basic level, you can really just start with the 3Ds. Really, any time of the year, you could remove the dead limbs, the damaged limbs. Locally here, we have a lot of limbs that are damaged from snowstorms and windstorms, so usually plenty to do in the tree. And then also the third D would be the diseased branches. When you're removing the diseased branches, it can get a little tricky. If you start making cuts into that branch, you're more than likely going to have the disease spores on your blade. At that point, that's when you need to disinfect the blade, either with a mild bleach solution or even Lysol would work.
Between every cut.
Between every cut. It's pretty labor intensive, yeah.
Tell me about this 3-cut approach that people should take with removing some more sizable branches.
Mm-hmm. It could be the more important lesson here. It's if you just try to, if you decided for whatever reason that you need to remove a larger branch, if you just start cutting from the top, the weight of that branch is obviously going to pull the branch down, and it could really rip the bark all the way down the trunk, and that's just a lot of damage to the tree. So the 3-cut method is basically you come in from the bottom side, make a cut on the bottom.
Close to the trunk, but
close,
not
a little bit close to the trunk. That's going to eliminate any chances of peeling. You come out a little bit further, and we can show this later on. You come out a little bit further, make a top cut. That's going to cause the branch to fall off. And then that third cut, you come back in and make a nice clean cut closer to the trunk, just outside the branch collar.
The branch collar, you'll point out, is that little place where it swells just as it's going out to the branch.
Exactly. On most trees, on a lot of trees, that collar is pretty obvious. On other trees, it's not so obvious. It's hard to find at times. Once that's taken care of, you can come through and kind of step back, take a full look of the tree, and a lot of times you'll see branches that are kind of growing inward toward the trunk of the tree, or branches that are kind of crossing each other, and as they mature and get wider, they're going to start rubbing on each other, and that's a perfect entry point for potential diseases. So what we'll do is come through, we'll just look at those. If there's a branch growing obviously toward the trunk of the tree, we'll prune it out. Here we have a smaller branch kind of crossing this tree here. As it matures, potentially, it could kind of scrape there. So it's a real simple cut. Just come in with your hand pruners here and just eliminate that. And you've done a lot already to improve the tree.
Up in the top of the tree, things get a little bit more complicated. You have some, what do you call those?
Codominant leaders.
The V's.
The V's,
for
yeah.
the people at home.
Yeah, and honestly, especially your larger shade trees, that's just how they grow naturally. Here locally or along the Front Range with our heavy snowstorms and windstorms, more often than not, that's where your tree is going to break if you get a heavy snow load. So some really simple cuts. It's a challenge to get up into the tree and make these cuts, but as far as improving the structural integrity of the tree, 10 minutes in the top of a tree can probably extend the life of that tree by maybe 10 years. So.
And can keep the homeowner from having to spend a lot of money on removing a fallen, broken tree a few years down the road.
Removing the tree, potentially even out of your house. So yeah, it can, half an hour in a tree now can save you a lot of money down the road, definitely.
The importance of the tools that you choose and use. What do you like?
I guess the tools that you use are going to be determined by the size of the branch. Certainly, you've got your old
let's see.
Your hand pruners here for your smaller branches. Getting into some larger branches, you might use the larger loppers, and then the handsaw is popular. And then also, if you're getting into some higher branches, your pole pruners are a pretty popular tool. You can find the saw blades on the pole pruners. They have their place, but it's hard to make a good clean cut with that when you're reaching 12 feet off the ground with a saw blade. A lot of times you'll do more ripping and tearing than getting a good clean cut. So whenever you can avoid that tall saw, I would do that.
Would you recommend that homeowners try those cuts in the upper reaches of a tree?
I wouldn't. It's just, you know, sometimes you're 10, 15, 30 feet off the ground, trying to remove some of these codominant leaders.
With a sharp implement.
With a sharp tool. When you do that, it's always best to position yourself to where you can make a good clean cut. So sometimes the pole pruners are options, but more often than not, you're going to need to climb the tree, stable yourself with a climbing harness. Probably should have a helmet on, some eye protection. So from a safety standpoint, I wouldn't recommend a homeowner taking care of that. When you're pruning a young tree, the rule of thumb basically is making your cuts on branches that are, roughly 2 inches in diameter or smaller. When you get in, if your tree is 30 years old, you need to remove a branch that is 12-inch diameter. What happens is that you get a lot of decay, and that decay starts at that massive wound and works itself into the entire tree, causing a weak tree. Basically starts to rot from the inside, creates a weak tree, and our windstorms here are terrible. That can really topple larger trees.
So Mike, you've explained a lot of guidelines for ornamental trees. What about fruit trees? This beautiful apple tree might need a little help.
This tree I know has been in the ground for a couple years. It's ready to be pruned. I probably would come in pretty aggressively, we have a lot of crossing branches in here. So I'd come in, kind of selectively remove all or any branches that may be crossing either today or in the future. Remove all of those, and then if some of the lower branches are going to be an issue down the road, for mowing, for your vehicle, for your sidewalk, I would go ahead and eliminate those as well. By thinning the canopy, removing some of these crossing branches, that's going to allow the sun to penetrate, which is going to help your fruit. It's also going to allow better air circulation, which is going to minimize any disease concerns.
So take good care of your trees. They add so much value to your landscape. Come see us here at Tagawa's, talk to Mike or any one of our other experts. They will walk you through the process so your trees are healthy and vigorous. Do indeed, come see us at Tagawa's. We will be happy to help you be green and grow. If you like this video, feel free to share it with a friend, and come see us at TagawaGardens.com for more videos like this. You'll also find us on Facebook and Twitter.